Strikes on Iran could last for 5 weeks, Trump says. How are the Iranians responding to the strikes? All of this and more. The Ayatollahs. This is interesting. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was confirmed dead, at least according to many reports. If you don't know anything about the Ayatollahs, if you don't know anything about the Islamic Revolution, the Islamic Republic, I can run down a brief history. We'll do that really quickly in order to make sure that everybody is relatively well informed. The Ayatollahs, they had a rise to power in Iran in 1979. They overthrew the monarchy of Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi. Excuse me, I'm trying to read these notes that I put beforehand. They established a theocratic Islamic republic. If you didn't know this, actually, it was very common knowledge that in the 1960s, that actually Islam and whatnot wasn't as heavily influenced on Iran. For sure, people were belonged to the Shia faith. For sure, people, whatever, they had certain devotions to their parties. Excuse me, the Shia and Sunni Muslims. There's a difference. The key difference we can't really get into right now. But a prominent Shia cleric, Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini, in the early 1960s, he emerged as a fierce critic of the Shah's Western-backed modernization efforts. And essentially, if you didn't know, Iran in the early days was actually very liberal. You saw women in little skirts, you saw the men with very short, short sleeves and whatnot, that nobody was as forced to dress as modestly as is known in the country today, where women literally are forced to cover up head to toe. It's ridiculous, but in my personal view, I'm not saying that their culture is ridiculous. I'm just saying, in my American view, I just think it's a little over the top to make women look like literally just a black thing, just cover it up. It's literally, what is it? It's I forget the names. Because it's early in the morning and I'm trying to remember the entire history of Iran. Anyways, these reforms, they had land redistribution, women's suffrage, secular policies that many religious leaders saw as eroding Islamic traditions in Iran. And granting too much influence to the United States, Khomeini spoke out in opposition and it led to his arrest in 1963. And sparked many protests. He was exiled in 1964, first to Turkey, then to Iraq, and then later to France in 1978. From exile, he continued rallying opposition through smuggling cassette tapes of his sermons and whatnot. He was a vintage podcaster, in all honesty. He built a massive following among Iranians that were frustrated with the economic inequity. They had political repression by the Shah's secret police, the SAVAK, the SAVAK. The perceived corruption in the government was wide. By late 1978, widespread discontent had boiled over into massive strikes, demonstrations, riots across Iran had broken out. A broad coalition, including religious conservatives, leftists, nationalists, and students, united against the Shah. As protests grew uncontrollable, the Shah appointed a moderate prime minister, but then he fled the country on January 16, 1979, into exile. Just 2 weeks later, on February 1st, 1979, Ayatollah Khamenei, not Ali, his father, Ruhollah, I can't remember how to pronounce it, returned triumphantly to Tehran. He was greeted by millions in the streets. He was quickly set up a parallel government. He appointed an interim prime minister and directed followers to ignore the remnants of the Shah's regime. On February 11th, 1979, the Iranian military declared neutrality. Collapsing old government, Khomeini consolidated clerical power rapidly. A referendum in April appointed an Islamic Republic, and a new constitution adopted in December enshrined a Velayat-e-Faqih, guardianship of Islamic jurist, making Khomeini the supreme leader with ultimate authority over political and religious matters. The system placed the Ayatollahs, ranking Shia clerics at the helm, sidelining a lot of secular and leftist allies that had from the revolution, and establishing the theocratic rule that has governed Iran ever since, with Khomeini leading until his death in 1989, followed by successors like Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Folks, in general, that's the rundown of it, of how the Ayatollahs came to power. If you are curious about any further things, I can find stuff. Maybe I can put it in the description. But otherwise, it's your Americans most likely listening to this, and in all honesty, you're going to be hearing a lot about it on the news. So, Without further ado, we need to cover about how the Middle East, it's entered a period of profound uncertainty following the launch of Operation Epic Fury. ABC News, a massive joint U.S.-Israeli military campaign that began this past Saturday. President Trump has stated that these strikes have already targeted hundreds of sites, including nuclear facilities, missile silos, and command centers. They could continue for up to 4 to 5 weeks. The administration has made it clear that the goal is not just a tactical denigration of Iran's military, but the total regime decapitation. That is a quote. Ooh, muy curiosity. Let's listen to this.
New strikes today stemming from the U.S. attack on Iran that killed Iran's supreme leader.
And we've seen airstrikes across the Middle East overnight, from Lebanon to Kuwait. 3 Americans have lost their lives. A new video overnight shows a U.S. fighter jet crashing in Kuwait, one of several American warplanes that have reportedly crashed in that country.
Shit.
Local officials say all crew members there were able to survive. It was not immediately clear what led to those crashes. President Trump spoke to ABC News overnight about how long this military operation could last, but he has not yet publicly answered questions about these attacks.
And the region is now engulfed in this conflict with attacks across the Persian Gulf states, including Qatar, where ABC's Marcus Moore begins our coverage this morning.
Hell yeah, Marcus.
What is it like there right now on the ground?
Well, Faith and Hannah, good to be with you this morning. There's just so much happening here in the region. Here in Qatar, we got the new emergency alerts that went out to cell phones this morning, and we've heard more loud booms here in Doha.
What I love is that they did do that. They gave out a warning to like a bunch of the Israelis and the people at like the American embassies. They said, shelter in place. We just saved the world.
Those air defense interceptors intercepting projectiles. Meanwhile, overnight, President Trump indicated just how long the attacks on Iran could last. Overnight, President Trump giving new insight into the military action in Iran, telling ABC News the U.S. attacks could last 4 or 5 more weeks.
Sheesh.
The statement coming just hours after the announcement that 3 American service members were killed during an Iranian attack in Kuwait.
We grieve for the true American patriots who have made the ultimate sacrifice for our nation, and sadly, there will likely be more. Before it ends, that's the way it is.
A lot of you are gonna die.
The US
We're gonna figure it out.
More than 2,000 targets inside Iran Sunday. The second
Some
day
of you may die.
Central Command releasing new video showing the U.S. destroying what appear to be Iranian fighter jets, drones, and ballistic missile launchers, among other military targets.
The
Sick.
entire military command is gone as well.
You gotta admit, no matter what, even if you disagree with the war, this is like another opportunity for people to grandstand, people to go like, I was alive during Afghanistan and I disagreed with it then, or whatever. Like, some people, they didn't, and they're very proud of it, and they're whatever. It's like, it's an opportunity for people to have opinions about it, and people to graft onto this. Whatever you want to say about it, we're getting a Michael Bay movie every single morning. When your mom has the TV on and she's drinking her coffee and you're getting ready for school, God, I miss the Obama era. You know what I mean? When you would see like a drone strike or something. Oh, it was just a fun era to be alive. And then later in the Trump administration, you saw some of that. And, you know, it was just a fun time to be alive. It's when war is happening and your parents are entertained on the news every morning, it's a good time to be alive.
And many of them want to surrender into saving their lives.
Israel claims roughly half of Iran's ballistic missile launchers have now been destroyed. But Iran is responding. At least 9 people were killed when an Iranian missile hit this Israeli shelter in a synagogue. And at least 5 others were killed across the Persian Gulf states as Iran deployed missiles and drones at military and civilian targets. A drone blasting this residential building in Bahrain.
Bahrain.
Video from the building shows the moment of impact.
Whoo!
In Dubai, this luxury hotel going up in flames. In Qatar,
I don't know if anybody else saw this, but when I heard about Dubai getting hit, I saw a video. I looked on TikTok and I was like, "Holy shit, the Burj Khalifa got hit!" But then apparently that was AI. Apparently Sora has gotten so good that it can convince many people that the Burj Khalifa has been hit in a terrorist attack. I don't think it has, and I don't know why they would target it. But whatever.
people running for their lives.
You can
see the air defense interceptors going into the area in those bright flashes of orange, and you can also hear the loud booms. This is what we've been hearing.
The loud
in Doha
booms.
all day today. In Kuwait, those 3 American service members who were killed were reportedly part of a unit overseeing supplies and logistics. 5 others were injured.
Damn.
And inside Iran, the death toll is rising, with more than 1,000 people reportedly killed since the U.S. and Israeli attacks began Saturday.
Shit.
State media claims an airstrike on this girls' school left more than 153 people dead, including students. The U.S. is investigating.
They go, Iranians embed themselves with little girls. They're gonna get some. They're gonna get some of those little girls on like the news on CNN, and it's gonna be like an interview done with, I don't know. They're gonna get Ellen to come out of retirement or something, because her image is not as bad as everybody else in the files right now. So it's perfect time to bring her back. Give her a show on CNN, because what is his name? Anderson Cooper's leaving. So give her his time slot. Bring on a few of these girls from this school and say that. Have them say Iranian, Persian terrorists. They'll say in Farsi, and then they'll have a translator say to Ellen in her ear, "Oh my gosh, these Iranian terrorists, they were embedding themselves, and I'm glad the United States struck our school."
Insisting it would never deliberately attack civilians. Iranians taking to the streets, some celebrating, others mourning the death of Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei. Was killed in a strike Saturday. The CIA had been tracking the 86-year-old for months. Sources say agents learned about a meeting of top leaders with the Ayatollah planned for Saturday, prompting the U.S. and Israel to strike. President Trump over the weekend justifying the attack.
They've rejected every opportunity to renounce their nuclear ambitions. Instead, they attempted to rebuild their nuclear program and to continue developing long-range missiles.
Long range.
I
don't know why he does that. He stresses random words and phrases.
Posed an imminent threat, saying the country was far from acquiring the resources needed to build a nuclear weapon, especially after the strikes on nuclear facilities back in June. President Trump acknowledged the new strikes are to some degree preemptive.
We're undertaking this massive operation not merely to ensure security for our own time and place, but for our children and their children, just as our ancestors have done for us many, many years ago. This is the duty and the burden of a free people. We're doing this not for now, we're doing this for the future. And it is a noble mission.
Yep.
And President Trump says the new petition...
I love that we're doing Mission Accomplished Part 2. We're doing it, guys. It's going to be fun. And then a couple months, maybe a couple weeks, if they're intelligent about it. From now, we're going to get him on an aircraft carrier in San Francisco Bay with a big sign saying Mission Accomplished 2. And then it's going to be him going, "Ladies and gentlemen, we did it."
Potential leaders of Iran have indicated that they want to talk. And we saw the Interim Leadership Council meeting this weekend, but Trump did not elaborate on plans for any future U.S. negotiations.
Shit. Well, I actually want to review a couple of his remarks that he's given. Let's go with his speech that he gave the day that we attacked, because I remember watching this, and I think a lot of people will remember where they were when they first saw this.
A short time ago, the United States military began major combat operations in Iran. Our objective is to defend the American people by eliminating imminent threats from the Iranian regime.
Did he just mispronounce imminent? He just said eminent.
Vicious group of very hard, terrible people.
Terrible people.
Its menacing activities directly endanger the United States, our troops, our bases overseas, and our allies throughout the world. For 47 years, the Iranian regime has chanted death to America and waged an unending campaign of bloodshed.
Why does he blend some words together? It's creepy.
Death to America and waged an unending campaign of bloodshed and mass murder, targeting the United States, our troops, and the innocent people in many, many countries. Among the regime's very first acts was to back a violent takeover of the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, holding dozens of American hostages for 444 days. In 1983, Iran's proxies carried out the Marine barracks bombing in Beirut that killed 241 American military personnel. In 2000, they knew and were probably involved with the attack on the USS Cole. Many died.
I love that he just throws some stuff. They were involved in and probably knew about this back in 20 years ago, so they have to die now.
Iranian forces killed and maimed hundreds of American service members in Iraq. The regime's proxies have continued to launch countless attacks against American forces stationed in the Middle East in recent years, as well as U.S. naval and commercial vessels in international shipping lanes.
Shipping lanes.
It's been mass terror.
Terror.
We're not going to put up with it any longer. From Lebanon to Yemen and Syria to Iraq, the regime has armed, trained, and funded terrorist militias that have soaked the earth with blood and guts.
What?
And it was Iran's proxy, Hamas, that launched the monstrous October 7th attacks on Israel, slaughtering more than 1,000 innocent people, including 46 Americans, while taking 12 of our citizens hostage. It was brutal.
Brutal.
Something like the world has never seen before.
I love it.
Iran
Something like the world has never seen before. I love it.
is the world's #1 state sponsor of terror.
The world has seen Genghis Khan, but this is worse.
And just recently killed tens of thousands of its own citizens on the street as they protested. It has always been the policy of the United States, in particular, my administration, that this terrorist regime can never have a nuclear weapon. I'll say it again. They can never have a nuclear weapon.
For sure.
That is why in Operation Midnight Hammer last June, we obliterated the regime's nuclear program at Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan. After that attack, we warned them never to resume their malicious pursuit of nuclear weapons, and we sought repeatedly to make a deal. We tried. They wanted to do it. They didn't want to do it. Again, they wanted to do it. They didn't.
They need to stop with the bullshit. I love it. He's just bullshitting. He's just like, they wanted to do it. They didn't do it.
Want to do it. They didn't know what was happening. They just wanted to practice evil.
I don't think you know what's happening.
But Iran refused, just as it has for decades and decades. They've rejected every opportunity to renounce their nuclear ambitions, and we can't take it anymore.
And we can't.
Instead, they attempted to rebuild their nuclear program and to continue developing long-range missiles that can now threaten our very good friends and allies in Europe, our troops stationed overseas, and could soon reach
You suddenly care a lot about our very good friends in Europe. You have been the last person to give a shit about any of this. What happened to America first? This is America last.
American homeland. Just imagine how emboldened this regime would be if they ever had and actually were armed with nuclear weapons.
The fact that you have to ask us to imagine something in order to justify a war.
As a means to deliver their message. For these reasons, the United States military has undertaken a massive,
or should I say, oy vey,
ongoing operation to prevent this very wicked, radical dictatorship.
He throws in a wicked reference because he knows that it's popular.
From threatening America and our core national security interests. We are going to destroy their missiles and raise their missile industry to the ground. It will be totally, obliterated. We're going to annihilate their navy. We're going to ensure that the region's terrorist proxies can no longer destabilize the region or the world and attack our forces and no longer use their IEDs or roadside bombs as they are sometimes told to so gravely wound and kill thousands and thousands of people, including many Americans.
Indeed.
And we will ensure that Iran does not obtain a nuclear weapon.
Oh, yeah.
It's a very simple message.
Very simple. Yes, exactly. It's a simple message for simpletons.
A nuclear weapon.
Never.
This regime will soon learn that no one should challenge the strength and might of the United States Armed Forces.
Nope, they're cooked.
I built and rebuilt our military in my first administration, and there is no military on earth even close to its power, strength, or sophistication.
I thought you said Biden ruined it.
My administration has taken every possible step to minimize the risk to U.S. personnel in the region. Even so, and I do not make this statement lightly, the Iranian regime seeks to kill.
And I do not make this statement likely.
The lives of courageous American heroes may be lost, and we may have casualties.
Yep.
That often happens in war. But we're doing this not for now. We're doing this for the future. And it is a noble mission. We pray for every service member as they selflessly risk their lives to ensure that Americans and our children will never be threatened by a nuclear-armed Iran. We ask God to protect all of our heroes in harm's way.
We ask
and we
God.
trust that, with His help, the men and women of the armed forces will prevail. We have the greatest
God bless
in the world,
Bibi
and they
Netanyahu.
will prevail. To the members of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, the armed forces, and all of the police, I say tonight that you must lay down your weapons and have
I love this part.
immunity.
I love this part where okay guys, this is my favorite part because he is holding out for you guys, the Iranian people, to hide in your homes, to sacrifice, and if you are a part of the armed forces, lay down your weapons because we're taking over.
The alternative, face certain death. So, lay down your arms. You will be treated fairly with total immunity, or you will face certain death. Finally, to the great proud people of Iran, I say tonight that the hour of your freedom is at hand.
Yes.
Stay sheltered.
Stay
Don't
sheltered.
leave your home. It's very dangerous outside. Bombs will be dropping everywhere. When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take.
I love
This
that
will
line.
be probably your only chance for generations.
This is Hunger
For
Games.
many years you have asked for America's help, but you never got it. No president was willing to do what I am willing to do tonight.
Yeah, I'm sure
Now
they
you have a
weren't.
president who is giving you what you want. So let's see how you respond.
Let's see how you
America is
respond.
backing you with overwhelming strength and devastating force. Now is the time to seize control of your destiny and to unleash the prosperous and glorious future that is close within your reach. This is the moment for action.
I love it.
Do not let it pass.
Yep.
May God bless the brave men and women of America's
Of Israel.
armed forces. May God bless the United States
Of
America.
Israel.
May God bless you all.
May
Thank
God
you.
bless you guys. How is Iran responding? On the ground, the reaction deeply divided, difficult to track due to severe internet blackouts. State-aligned groups have held an angry anti-aggression rally in, according to them, there's anti-aggression rallies in Tehran, and there are reports of renewed student protests and quiet celebrations in pockets of the country where anti-regime sentiment has been simmering since January crackdowns on protests. President Trump has addressed the Iranian people directly in the video, telling them that the country is, quote, now theirs to take. Yes, the global community, they're now bracing for the economic and humanitarian fallout. Yeah, there's going to be some Iranians that are pouring into other nations nearby. Do I assume that it's going to result in a massive migration towards us? I don't know. It happens with any war. You know what I mean? It's always a few. I doubt that maybe your grocer is going to have a couple more Iranians. But hey, no, the Persians are pretty cool. They speak Farsi. It's a beautiful language.
Tonight, the images from inside Iran. Widespread demonstrations across the country after news broke the supreme leader was killed, along with more than 40 of Iran's leaders. Protesters shouting death to America, while others in Iran are now quietly celebrating, sharing their hope for a new future. Here's Martha Raddatz tonight.
Martha Raddatz.
The deadly strikes in Iran prompted immediate celebrations in the streets and in the privacy of Iranian homes. But today, tens of thousands of tearful mourners gathered in Tehran's main square, pounding their chests, waving flags, and throughout the country, many shouting death to America. This man called the attacks on the regime shocking news that really fills one with anger, full of hatred towards Israel and America.
Try your
who
best,
must defend
bitches.
The blood of the leader. The Iranian foreign
I'd like to
minister
see you
today
fuckers in
insisting
North
to
Dakota.
ABC News
You ain't gonna
that
be
the
invading
deaths of
nowhere.
military leaders will make little difference to Iran's military capabilities.
This is exactly what happened last time. They killed some of our top commanders, but they were replaced very soon, and in less than 12 hours, we were able to start retaliation.
No matter what the foreign minister says, taking out 40 of the top leadership means that most of the units in the field are operating independently and without centralized direction.
What I like is that there's people that in the center square of Tehran and whatnot, and it's like death to America, death to Israel and whatnot. Death to Israel, they should take that seriously and whatnot. But when someone who lives in Seattle or like Idaho or like, you know, Michigan, Wisconsin hears that threat, what are they supposed to think? Are they supposed to think, oh my God, my city capital is going to blow up or whatnot? It's never going to happen. So, you know, when one hears that, you're supposed to just giggle, in all honesty. That's exactly why you go just like, try it, fuckers. You're just not going to do anything. You're losers who sit around maybe. This is, by the way, a paid group. This is a paid group of people who are sitting. They're paid by the government. They are like, we will freeze your rent, like the Zora Mamdani in New York actually promised to. But you have to pound your chest and you have to say that you feel bad that the leader is dead. That is what this group is formulated of. It's not a legit opposition. It's whatever. Anyways.
For decades, the threat of a nuclear-armed Iran has loomed over the Middle East.
Sure.
After years of stop-start negotiations, sanctions, and even attempts to sabotage Iran's nuclear program, a diplomatic breakthrough finally came in 2015.
A comprehensive long-term deal with Iran that will prevent it from obtaining a nuclear weapon.
We were there when the deal was announced.
These people are so happy that these punishing sanctions...
I love that this reporter has to wear the scarf. She has to cover herself up because even though she's an American, even though she's a Westerner, she has to abide by their laws.
will eventually be lifted.
Cover up, woman.
But the deal drew criticism, and President Trump withdrew the U.S. from the pact in 2018.
We have not been here since Donald Trump was elected and pulled the U.S. out of the nuclear deal, and what a difference we have seen.
Today in Tehran, there is little to celebrate. With the sanctions back in place, the Iranian economy is in dramatic distress. After Trump scrapped the deal, the Iranians ramped up the enrichment of uranium.
Indeed they did.
With the threat looming large again, the U.S. pounded Iranian nuclear facilities just last summer.
Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated.
But the administration said that turned out not to be entirely true, which led to this new wave of strikes.
Love it. It's like, we got them all, guys. Don't worry about it. Well, actually, later next year, we're going to have to... Actually, early next year, we're going to have to do some more strikes.
The deadly conflict between the U.S. and Iran is a far cry from the years when Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi enjoyed close ties with America and attempted to build a modern, secular state.
Our relationship with Iran was very cozy, close.
Better than it is now.
Diplomatic, security level.
But when the Shah was overthrown in the 1979 revolution, Iran suddenly transformed into an Islamic state hostile to the West, headed by Ayatollah Khomeini. During this period of turmoil, Ali Khamenei quickly rose through the leadership ranks in Iran.
Ali Khamenei was very much a product of Iran's religious class. He was a close student and later became a confidant of Ayatollah Khomeini.
There you go.
Following Ayatollah Khomeini's death in 1989, his one-time protege ascended to the position of supreme leader of Iran.
I don't think anybody would have predicted that
one-time protege, not son.
For so long, and he did so ruthlessly, dividing opposition.
Working closely with Iran's feared Revolutionary Guard, Khamenei ruthlessly crushed any challenges to the regime. He deployed soldiers against his own people in 2025, sparked by the death of 22-year-old Mahsa Amini, arrested for allegedly violating the rules for wearing a head cover.
She was taken into custody and apparently beaten ruthlessly by plainclothes police officers.
Well, quite frankly, given where she lived, should have known better, I guess. I mean, guys, It's their country, their laws. She wore the scarf wrong. The women are they are subordinate. They are not equal to the men in that country. You know, it's just the way that they do things. Respect the culture, man. Are you like Islamophobic or some shit?
And ultimately died in hospital.
Are you Islamophobic? Are you saying she didn't deserve to die? God, you sound like some Islamophobe because you don't think this girl deserved to die.
Set off a wave of protest that lasted many months.
The protests were put down. Some 500 people were killed. There were many arrests.
But that crackdown paled in comparison to the one unleashed by Khamenei after the most recent wave of protests launched in December.
Yeah, they were just blasting bitches in the street.
People who have been struggling financially for the last 15 years were irate over the government's mismanagement of the national economy. The Islamic Republic wielded such incredible, brutal force, killing an untold number of people. Estimates put it in the high thousands to the mid tens of thousands.
Woo.
A remarkable scene continuing to unfold in Iran. Martha Raddatz with us here tonight. And
I love it. Folks, I mean, it's pretty curious. It's an interesting time to be alive. It's always an interesting time to be alive when there's a regime change. I'm sure that you'll be around to tell your children about this, is what I hope. You know what I mean? I know that Ali Khamenei definitely will not be anytime soon. That's unfortunate for him. What's his legacy? Let's hear from the Associated Press.
Iran's supreme leader, the 86-year-old Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, is dead.
Ali.
That's according to reports on both Iranian state television and its IRNA state-run news agency. He was the target of joint American-Israeli airstrikes that have just pummeled at Iran over the last 24 hours. Now, his death is going to set up a new moment for Iran. Iran has only had two supreme leaders so far. The Ruhollah Khomeini, who led the 1979 revolution, and Khamenei, who came into power in 1989 and led Iran through decades of tensions with the United States over its nuclear program, as well as its support for proxies in the wider Middle East.
Love that that's the legacy.
Theory, Iran should have an assembly of clerics come together to pick a new supreme leader.
Yeah.
However, that has not been announced yet, and it remains unclear whether Iran would be able to do that given the fact that it remains under this American and Israeli airstrike campaign. This also calls into question the calls by U.S. President Donald Trump for the Iranian people to rise up and take back their government, a direct call for Iran to overthrow its theocracy.
Sheesh.
We've not seen any unrest in the streets that would signal that such a move is underway, but the death of Khamenei had been celebrated overnight when initial reports came out with people cheering in the streets. But for now, Iran's paramilitary Revolutionary Guard and its armed forces maintain control of the Islamic Republic, but Iran is facing a new chapter in its long history.
It's sad that my favorite Disney song has to end this way. Ayatollah Ali, fabulous he, Ali Khamenei. He's an iconic figure, unfortunately. Man, sorry to Iran, you lost a real one.